It will actually reduce the deficit by $4 trillion over the long term. Reducing the waste and inefficiency in Medicare and Medicaid will pay for most of this plan. It will slow the growth of healthcare costs for our families, our businesses, and our government. There will be a provision in this plan that requires us to come forward with more spending cuts if the savings we promised don't materialize.
Much later.
I owe you an answer on why it is I'm standing here today asking to extend something that was temporary. And here's the reason. We did fail to bring down the cost of health care.
All right, guys, so we've had a interesting day. The Democrats came out with some ridiculous proposal.
Hey, cousins, the shutdown continues. As was expected, there was another vote, and that's what we're going to talk about. I'm doing a reaction to the Black conservative. I love the Black conservative. He's the only person I watch every day. Him and Caesar and investing. And investing for freedom. I used to watch them every day, but they don't come on every day. But anyways, I watch the Black conservative every day. I absolutely love him. And I'm going to make sure I donate to him. But I wanted to do a reaction to this video. I am trying to stop talking about politics on this channel and talk about it more on my backup channel, Allegedly Janice, because when I retire, and I will be retiring soon, I want to spend a lot more of my time on my Allegedly Janice talk about politics. I just love politics. I love to talk about politics. So I wanted to come back. I did a video a few days ago about the shutdown, about back talk, so on and so forth. And I wanted to come back and do this video that was shared on the Black conservative. And I have another video I might come back and share that. But I wanted to do this. Now, y'all heard what President Obama said. Let me just talk for me, for example. We know that health insurance in this country is a problem. I remember paying $56 for health insurance for me and Lexi, $76, $276 when I got married. Do you know how much I pay for health insurance now? I am paying $1,000 a month for health insurance. $1,000. Do you know how much I will be paying in January? I will be paying $1,400 a month for health insurance. $1,400. $1,400 a month I will be paying for health insurance. And I told my husband, if I'm paying $1,400 a month, I cannot imagine what you would be paying if we were on your health insurance. And I told him, I said, when it's open, whatever, to go to HR and see how much you would be paying, because I just cannot imagine how much he would be paying. And I'm going to be paying $1,400 a month in health insurance. That's how much I will be paying for health insurance. And this is in the last 10 years. I mean, I don't even know what percent that is, how much health insurance has gone up. So in this country, health insurance is a problem that needs to be fixed. Like there's two problems that should already be fixed in this country: healthcare and immigration. I just don't understand why we keep having these problems. But anyways, I'm not going to be talking much. Shout out to the Black conservative. I absolutely love him. I love him. And I'm going to make sure I go on his channel and give him a donation. Okay, so I won't be talking much, but let's play this video. And, you know, shout out to all the haters in the comments, okay? Let me speed this up a little bit. And I'll probably stop just to say something so I don't get a copyright strike. But I sent him a donation, so I got to try to connect with him off of YouTube.
Took us about 0.3 seconds to say no deal. What they're offering wasn't even a real proposal, and they know it. And once again, it is proven that they are not interested in opening the government. We just now had an opportunity for them to at least pay essential employees and all the essential programs. Guess what? Nope. They all said no. Why? Because it's politics.
So they voted for the 14th time not to open the government. By the way, New Jersey, yesterday we got an email that New Jersey residents got their full benefits of food stamps. So shout out to the New Jersey people. And I just hope everybody get their food stamps, because people need to eat. Like food should not be one of the bargaining chips that politicians bargain with in this country, because there are people who needs to eat, who can't do anything else. You can't work, you can't do anything else, and you depend on food stamps, okay? So 14 times.
You can't make sense out of what they're doing right now because they got Chucky Schumer leading them in this political fight. Once again, guys, we're still here fighting every single day. It's a privilege, and it's also frustrating at sometimes. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to fight for the great state of Oklahoma.
So, and this is really sad, right? This is really sad. But I want you, if you really have a heart to know, because especially for Black people, you are so stuck on the plantation, you cannot think off the plantation. And what I love about the Black conservative is he explained everything so well that even Lexi can understand. And she's special needs, by the way. Okay. So I want you to listen to what the Black conservative is saying. I just want you to listen. Just listen carefully to what he is saying. Okay. And Black conservative, I mean, can I please stop saying, oh boy. Ooh.
Another day, which means another video about the Democrat shutdown, okay, that they have orchestrated in order to please the radical left lunatics in their party, right? They are holding the country hostage because they don't want to lose their jobs to the radical left. And Democrats are fighting for a healthcare system that is literally making everybody's healthcare more expensive in this country, okay? I want to remind people that Obamacare...
Hello, I'm proof. My insurance, our insurance, I'm paid $1,400 in January. And this has happened in the last, nope, not 10 years. Yes, 10 years. In the last 10 years, where I was paying for me and my family, I was crying when it was $270, when my insurance went to $276. Then they said, well, we increased in 12%. Then this year, we just got the letter, your insurance is going up 37%. 37, our health insurance. So health insurance has, let me rewind. I said I was going to talk much what the Black conservative had said, okay? And then I'm going to shut up.
For the great state of Oklahoma.
So another day, which means another video about the Democrat shutdown, okay, that they have orchestrated in order to please the radical left lunatics in their party, right? They are holding the country hostage because they don't want to lose their jobs to the radical left. And Democrats are fighting for a healthcare system that is literally making everybody's healthcare more expensive in this country. Okay, I want to remind people that Obamacare is the reason why your premiums are going up, okay? And Democrats are simply
Hold on.
just fighting to put a Band-Aid on a system that is massively corrupt in favor of insurance companies, because you socialize the costs, you privatize the profits, and what you get is what we got right now, which is a
Sorry, guys, I was having a shortage, so let me just go ahead and play that again.
Democrat shutdown, okay, that they have orchestrated in order to please the radical left lunatics in their party, right? They are holding the country hostage because they don't want to lose their jobs to the radical left.
Okay, maybe I need to take a break because there's a shortage.
Democrats are fighting for a healthcare system that is literally making everybody's healthcare more expensive in this country. Okay, I want to remind people that Obamacare is the reason why your premiums are going up. Okay, and Democrats are simply just fighting to put a Band-Aid on a system that is massively corrupt in favor of insurance companies because you socialize the costs, you privatize the profits, and what you get is what we got right now, which is a complete and total disaster that's not even worth saving, to be honest with you guys.
Give you a quick update.
So let me just say, we need to fix healthcare in this country. It needs to be fixed. We can't keep putting a Band-Aid on it. First of all, if you don't know, from my haters in the comments, I believe in universal healthcare. I understand the arguments against it, and no, I don't want to be like Canada, where everybody go to the same doctor, and you got to wait all day when you go to the doctor, okay? That's why, to me, it needs to be fixed. I love my private doctor, okay? I absolutely love her. I don't mind paying for healthcare. I'll pay $500 a month. $1,400 a month for health insurance just is a bit much for me. But I don't mind paying to have good service. I don't mind paying, but it is so crazy that it's too much, okay? So we need to fix healthcare. It needs to be fixed, okay? So I don't want you to think I don't want people to have health insurance. Of course, people, I believe in universal. I think everybody should have health insurance. Everybody in this country, as much taxes as we pay in this country, there is no reason why everybody should not have affordable health insurance. And of course, those who don't have income can be on Medicaid. I was on Medicaid from the age of 16 until I got the job I have now. When I graduated Rutgers, they have what they call Medicaid extension and Medicaid expansion, because the people would get off welfare and get jobs, and then their income would terminate their Medicaid. So guess what they did? They would quit their jobs so they could go back on Medicaid. They didn't want to pay for health insurance. So instead of them paying, back then it was cheap, for health insurance at the job, they would quit their job so they could have Medicaid. So the government came up with Medicaid extension and Medicaid expansion. Medicaid extension, I believe, as long as your income stay in a certain range, you could have Medicaid for a certain amount of years, okay? And then there was Medicaid expansion. That's what I had. Medicaid expansion, if I remember correctly, is you could make any amount of income you want, you would still have Medicaid for 3 years. That's what I had. I had Medicaid expansion because my income was a little bit more, but for 3 years, I would still have Medicaid. So my 3 years working at my first job out of college, I had Medicaid expansion where I still had Medicaid. But when I got to my new job, my 3 years was up. You see how God worked it out? Do you see how good God is to Janice? When I got to my new job, my Medicaid expansion ended, and then I got on my Medicaid that I have here. Me and Lex, I was paying like $56 a month a pay, $56 a pay, and $5 copay, girl, $5 copay. Soon as the Obamacare come, $10 copay, $30 this, $70 this at the hospital. Insurance is through the roof. So insurance needs to be fixed, okay? Everybody should have insurance in this affordable health insurance. Okay, so hopefully by now my little in and out problem fixed. So don't think I don't want people to have health insurance. Yes, I do. I want everybody in this country to have health insurance, and I want every child that go to school to get free lunch. I am mad that I have to pay for lunch.
On the Senate hearing that was led by Ron Johnson today regarding the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. And there were several individuals who testified and basically kind of confirmed what I've already been telling all of you, is that the system, the exchanges, Affordable Care Act exchanges in each individual state has largely been rigged. And essentially what's happened, what has been incentivized by the Affordable Care Act, is this consolidation of healthcare providers within the individual regions and in individual states. And what that means is companies. A lot of hospitals that are owned by insurance companies went in and bought doctors. So it's the same doctor, it's just now that doctor is affiliated with a hospital and can charge a higher rate. And so because they can charge these higher rates, they have increased the cost of insurance. And worse yet,
And this is why we need to really understand what's going on and stop being emotional. You know, some of the people in the comments, you're being emotional, but you don't know the facts because you don't read. You don't know the facts. It's just like my husband this morning. My husband, I had to go to the hospital. This was a couple of weeks ago. He wasn't feeling well. I was like, just go to the hospital and get it checked out because God knows how much money I pay in health insurance. I was like, just go to the hospital. What happened? I think he was feeling a little lightheaded or dizzy. Oh, the day after my bathroom thing, remember my bathroom situation? And we was running back and forth up the stairs and running and fixing. So later he said he felt dizzy. So I told him, go to the hospital, get checked out. We live right next door to the hospital. I always try to make sure I live by a hospital because, you know, I want to live a long life. And if there's an emergency, you need to get me there quick. So I told my husband, I said, go back to the hospital. Every chance I get, I said, go to the hospital because I spent a lot of money in health insurance. And thank God we are overall very, 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 very healthy. Even little Michael was talking about to him yesterday how healthy he is. And, you know, mainly because they believe it's because you breastfeed. So he's really, really healthy. Little Michael don't have any problems, any health problems. Thank God. We're pretty healthy in this house. And so they ran some tests. They kept him there all day. It was like all night. They were trying to run up my health insurance, run this test, that test, this test, this test. So then yesterday he got a letter from the hospital. I gave it to him. So he's telling me, babe, they told me that I needed to come, but the test they ran was contaminated and I needed to come back and do the test. And I'm like, what? The hospital's telling you to come back and do the test? Shouldn't they have told you to go to your primary care and have your primary care run the test? Because that's what happened. After you go to the hospital, there's an issue. They tell you to follow up with your primary care. No, they want to come back to the hospital. I told them, do not go back to the hospital. Go call your doctor and tell her what they said so you could go to the doctor and run the test. Because, of course, at the doctor's office, it's cheaper. No, they want him to come back to the hospital so they could run up his insurance, use up the insurance. And my husband has done blood work since then because we had to do blood work for our health insurance last month, all of us, me and Mike. So Mike did blood work for our health insurance last month. Everything's fine. He's fine. Why do you think they need him to come back to the hospital? So they could use their health insurance card. This happened a few years ago. He was working from home and he felt a little tightness in his heart. He went to the hospital. They said, Mr. Thompson, you're fine. Everything's fine. Blood work is fine. EKG is fine. RI, whatever, running through the machine is fine. Your blood pressure is just a little bit elevated, but we understand because you was rushing to get here. They said to him, but because of your demographics, we have to keep you overnight. Fine. I don't have a problem with that because demographic is you're a Black man and you're 50. Okay. Do you know how much they charge my insurance? $27,000. $27,000 for the test he ran and sleeping at the hospital. $27,000. When I was in the hospital having little Michael, I had a headache. I asked for a Tylenol. Do you know how much they bill my insurance for a Tylenol? $400. That was 10 years ago. $400. They billed my insurance for one Tylenol. It wasn't even two. They gave me one Tylenol. So all the people in the comments being emotional, please, if you don't know, go read a book. Go read up on this stuff. But again, health insurance needs to be fixed in this country. It's a scam. Thank God for health insurance. You know, I'm getting ready to retire and we're going to have to buy health insurance. And me buying health insurance is cheaper than what I'm paying on my job now. It's about half of what I'm going to be paying. But do I want everybody to have it? Absolutely. Everybody in this country should have health insurance. All the taxes we pay. My husband works in New York and Jersey. He paid taxes in two states. So for all the taxes we pay, why everybody in this country cannot have free health insurance or affordable? I believe those people who don't have income, you should get Medicaid. I was on Medicaid. And if you're working, you should be able to afford affordable health insurance. So starting January, my health insurance, our health insurance, $1,400 a month. $1,400 a month.
If you go look at the ACA exchanges in any state, for example, in California, I was shopping around the ACA plans. You're going to see that most of the plans are garbage HMO plans, and there's a reason for that. So because they bought these providers and hospitals, they can package up basically these providers, call them in-network, and they're limited providers in a particular jurisdiction area of California, for example. And so they get to charge insane rates for the premiums. They own the doctors. You cannot go outside, typically outside of the network, to access any doctor. And so the coverage you're getting is basically, it's not the best coverage as if we were to have the open exchange. So if we were to have an open free market exchange, I think that would actually give us better access to doctors. And you got to keep in mind too, a lot of these doctors are not allowed to take cash pay patients. So that has also increased cost because in order to have a contract with a doctor in an insurance company and be considered in network, you have to agree to not take cash pay patients. And I think many of you are going to see these videos of cash pay doctors on social media who are offering their.
That's interesting. She bring that up. Let's talk about the dental, right? We've been going to the same dentist for me and Lexi for 30 years, 31 years. Lexi's 31, right? So we could go, there's two dentists here in or nearby. We could go back and forth. I've been going back and forth between the two dentist office for 30 years based on where my dentists go. So me and Lexi was down there for 20 years. Then Mike came, little Michael came, right? So then Lexi, especially these young ladies, so there's a certain type of dentist that have to work with her, okay? So her dentist was only down in Newark for 2 days, and then she was in the other center for 3 days, and she said it is just too much to get to downtown Newark. She's not going to downtown Newark. She's coming. She's going to be up in Springfield, Irvington, wherever. So I said, okay, I'm going to change our dentist and go to where this dentist is because she's very kind and she's very sweet and very soft. And she explained to Lexi, and Lexi understand. I don't need to explain because she does. So she's been our dentist for 5 years. Well, she moved to Hackensack. I'm not going to Hackensack. That's 2 hours from here. So now I try to go back to my other dentist downtown because this is actually easier for us. And guess what they said? Oh, we're no longer taking your dental because we can't take any more of this dental plan. You have to get the other one, the other dental plan. And that one is about $100 a month. Either that or you have to pay. It's a scam. As long as I have dental insurance, why can't you take my dental insurance? Why do you need me to get the other plan where I have to pay? It's 8 o'clock. It's where I have to pay more money. Okay, let me shut up so these people can finish talking. Little Michael has a STEM class at the college today. 2 more days to go. I am exhausted Saturday morning. I just want to sleep in. But you know, when you have the kids, you have to get them prepared for life, okay?
Their own sort of health coverage in a lot of respects because that is cheaper. And so when we hear of a lot of the rural hospitals in rural areas being decimated, it's decimated because of this Affordable Care Act system that we put in place and the consolidations by the hospitals, eating up and buying the providers and then pre-packaging those into garbage HMO insurance plans that are also that are owned by they own the hospitals, they own the providers now, and now they own the insurance that they're selling you these plans on. So anyways, it's unfortunate what we are having to deal with as far as access to healthcare right now. I don't know how that would be fixed. And so that's kind of what was the next step in the hearing, is how do we fix this? And those questions are largely unanswered right now.
Yeah, in my opinion, just my humble opinion, I think that
my point exactly. How do we fix it? We need to fix it.
The way you fix it is that you dismantle Obamacare. You get rid of it. And I'm not saying that you get rid of it all at one time, but there has to be an off-ramp, okay, in order to get us back to a more free market oriented healthcare system, right? Let's actually bring the free market back, because what we have right now is not a free market. It is socialism for big doctors, big hospitals, big insurance company, and big pharma, right? That is what it is, okay? That's the honest to God truth. Democrats are fighting on behalf of big companies, okay, to pad their profits off the backs of taxpayers in order to give people who don't want to work and illegal immigrants free healthcare that's not really free. And that continues to drive up the cost for everybody. And Democrats don't have a solution to this outside of a Band-Aid, right? And that is what the Obamacare subsidies that happened during COVID, that's what they were. They were a Band-Aid in order to hide the problem of Obamacare, which is that it is completely and totally unsustainable. So with that being said, Democrats are now magically back at the table, right? They're now back at the table. They're ready to negotiate, opening up the government, as if there's anything to negotiate with these clowns. But they want to, quote unquote, negotiate, right? And we know that they orchestrated this shutdown. They orchestrated taking away people's food stamps. They orchestrated not paying the military. They orchestrated not paying our federal workers in order to motivate the far left lunatics to get out and vote, because they blamed it all on Trump, okay? And up until this point, I can't lie to you guys, they've won the optics battle when it comes to this. And I'm going to explain how the GOP can actually change this moving forward into the future. But they have essentially caused all of these problems. They're the ones that, again, created Obamacare. They're the ones that decided that the subsidies would run out, that they would be temporary. And again, they're doing this in order to have leverage over Republicans, right?
For the people in my comments, did you hear? The subsidy was temporary. Do you understand? That was not a solution. That's why the man at the beginning says, I have to come back and explain to you why we need an extension on something that was supposed to be temporary.
Right, that's what they're doing. They're using it as leverage, and they made it very clear that this is a political game that they're playing with people's lives, because the counteroffer to have the government open up that was presented by Chuck Schumer was a poison pill that no sane person would ever accept, because Chuck Schumer wants to open back up the government, but only if Republicans agree to extending the Obamacare subsidies by 1 year, right before the midterms. Take a look.
Reopens. Therefore, we'd like to offer a simple proposal
1 year
that would reopen the government and extend the ACA premium tax credits simultaneously, and then have the opportunity to start negotiating longer-term solutions to health care costs. Let's do all three. I've spoken with my caucus, and Democrats are offering a very simple compromise. Democrats are ready to clear the way to quickly pass a government funding bill that includes health care affordability. Leader Thune just needs to add a clean 1-year extension of the ACA tax credits to the CR so that we can immediately address rising health care costs. That's not a negotiation. It's an extension of current law, something we do all the time around here, as we all know. But we also offer this. Let's create a bipartisan committee that will continue negotiations after the government reopens on reforms, ahead of next year's enrollment period, to provide long-term certainty that health care costs will be more affordable. This proposal reopens the government and ensures working families who are shopping right now for their health care get certainty and financial relief.
Yeah, so what you have here is just an admission from Democrats that this is a game. This game, anybody with two brain cells to rub together can listen to what Chuck Schumer just said and say, wait, what? You want to extend the subsidies by 1 year. So basically you want to do this again next year. Why do you want to do it again next year? Well, again, because next year, that's when the midterms are. Now, again, Democrats, you can argue successfully, have used this as leverage, right? The decision that they made.
So let's extend it by 1 year. So next year we can do this all over, right around election time, so that y'all could go out and vote. Because, you know, you have to be forced to go out and vote, basically. Let's do this next year again. Let's shut down the government. People don't have food stamps. Federal workers are not being paid. People are in the military who needs to protect the country. At least pay the military. I think the military was paid, right? Let's just do this all over again next year, right around election time, because I need my people to go out and vote. And that's the only way they're going to go out and vote, if they're mad.
To make the Obamacare subsidies expire during this time, in 2025, you can argue that, hey, that was successful. That helped them out, right, during this past election. So now they're trying to extend the subsidies for 1 year in order to do it again next year, which tells you what this, again, is all about. This is about winning elections. This is not about any type of long-term solutions. This is not about providing long-term relief to Americans or, you know, protecting their health care long-term. It's not about that at all. Because if it was about that, then why are you doing it for 1 year? Why not 2 years? Why not 5 years? Why just a year? Because it's a game to them. They want to make the midterms about Obamacare, the subsidies, because they know, they see that people are getting letters in the mail saying that, hey, without these subsidies, your premium is going to rise. Now, again, the reason why the premiums are rising really is because of the subsidies. But again, people, it's hard to explain that to normies, right?
No, I did get one of those things in the mail. I got one of the thing in the mail, and I was like, well, why am I getting this? And I shredded it yesterday. I guess I should have read it, right? Because I'm like, my insurance is already up over $1,400. Okay.
People aren't educated on this stuff. But that's all they know. That's what people know. And Democrats are taking advantage of people's ignorance on this and trying to use it as leverage against Republicans in order to win elections, to save their jobs.
It's crazy. It's really, really crazy. And we just need to fix it.
And this type of shit that pisses me off about politics. They play too many games with people's lives. And the funny part about this is that it's stuff like this that makes me really, really, really root for the GOP to just don't capitulate to these people at all. Let them continue to tell us and explain why you're going to keep the government shut down, right? Just keep explaining it, because the more they explain it, the more they talk about it, the more it becomes apparent that, hey, y'all playing games. That this is just about politics and it's not about what y'all say it's about. Even Charlamagne the God, aka Charlamagne the devil, even Charlamagne is calling out Democrats and telling them, hey, stop playing games, open up the government. People's lives are being affected by your games. Everybody can see that this is political for you guys.
Dems, you had a great night last night. The premiums have already gone up. They are set for the year. It's time to move on. We appreciate the fight, the valiant effort, but come on, man. People got rent due. People got childcare to pay for, light bills, car notes. I feel for all those federal workers who have missed 2 paychecks already, especially when most of them are living paycheck to paycheck. People not getting their SNAP benefits. It's time to reopen the government. I don't care whose fault it was. Let's stop playing politics with people's lives.
People mad at you for saying that. They feel like the Democrats will fight. But what's the reason you're saying the fight is over?
The fight is over because the premiums have already gone up and they're set for the year. And now you have a whole group of people, which are federal workers, who have already missed 2 paychecks. So I understand that,
2 paychecks. 2 paychecks military federal workers have missed. And we already know in this country, most people live paycheck to paycheck. So they can't afford to pay their bills. So pay the people their money.
You don't want high healthcare premiums, but what about people who can't pay their rent right now? What about people who can't pay their car notes right now? People who can't pay their daycare. I don't care whose fault it is or was. Let's stop playing politics with people's lives, man. Let's reopen the government. We can still have this fight about healthcare while the government is open.
Yeah, if Charlamagne can see this, then I'm sure
Something's going on with my in and out, but it's okay. We're supposed to be getting a storm or something. So people are seeing it.
I'm sure that if you're the average American and you're paying attention and you're not a complete and total Democrat Party shield, because I understand why Democrat Party shields are pretending as if this is Republicans' fault, right? But again, if you're the average person and you're not a complete and total partisan hack, if somebody like Charlamagne can see it, I'm sure that normal people can see it, right? And again, this is part of the reason why I think Republicans need to stick to their guns and just force Democrats to continue to explain to the American people, why is it that you only want these extensions for a year, right? Why only a year? Tell us, Democrats. Tell us why you only want it for a year, right? Because again, why would you want to put the American people through this again next year? It's about politics. And if that is what Democrats are going to do, right? If that's the message they're going to put out there, then I think that plays in favor of Republicans. Republicans clearly are not going to get on board with this because, again, everybody knows that this is a poison pill.
What is your response to Chuck Schumer's proposal here to keep those ACA benefits going for another year, bipartisan committee to work on those and reopen the government with a clean CR?
God, please give me patience, because if you give me strength, I'm going to need bail money. What Senator Schumer is suggesting is that we do the dumbest thing possible.
Dumbest thing possible. Let's do the dumbest thing possible versus find a solution.
Stupid should hurt more. Senator Schumer says we should just extend the status quo for a year. What does that mean? That means that we would have to take $35 billion of taxpayer money and give it directly to the health insurance companies.
Jesus, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to give to the health insurance companies and our premium.
Without any commitment of lowering premiums.
That's a $35 billion.
How's that going to reduce healthcare costs? How's that going to reduce premiums? The healthcare companies are going to take $35 billion from the taxpayers and put it into their pockets. I mean, duh. I don't know what Senator Schumer is thinking. Earth to Chuck. I mean, Earth to Chuck.
Earth to Chuck.
The short answer is no.
Earth to Chuck.
The long answer is hell no. I think we're just going to have to get used to the fact that we've been in a shutdown. We're going to be in a shutdown for a while. I voted 14 times to lift the shutdown. the Democrats and Senator Rand Paul have voted 14 times to keep the government shut down. We're just going to be here for a while.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like what Senator Schumer just proposed is really any
Okay, you
different.
heard that. 14 times to open the government. Democrats voted for it. And Rand Paul, he's a rhino. I just don't understand. 14 times to keep the government shut down. Oh, let's just extend it for a year. No. The Republicans are saying no. They need to find a solution, solve the problem with health insurance.
And then where Democrats have been all along. They wanted $1.5 trillion. You say 36 billion. I guess there's a lot of different numbers on this package. But to keep the Obamacare benefits were expanded during COVID, and of course, once you give something, very hard to claw it back. So that's where we are right now. And so the impact of having that extension pulled away is making people's new health care benefits rise. But as you say, it's not fixing the problem in terms of lowering costs. Is there any? I just spoke with the former Governor Sununu, and he said, what they need.
So it was an extension during COVID, right? Wanted to just, keep it going during COVID. So from
COVID
COVID
accept Senator Thune's next proposal and agree on it.
From COVID till now, y'all didn't solve this problem.
Get Democrats across the board on it. What do you think that is going to look like?
He's just going to bring up the same resolution that he's brought up 14 times. Look, if we've learned anything during this shutdown, we've learned that the Obamacare Affordable Care Act exchanges, they're not working. They're not lowering health care costs. Extending the status quo will just be putting fresh paint on rotten wood.
So
Why would we want to do that?
So it's not lowering healthcare costs. Healthcare costs is going up. Mine is going up $400. $400. December I will pay $1,000, and January I will pay $400. So that is $400 more that I'm not getting in my paycheck. And I'm using me because I know that's what's happening. I know that's what's happening to all of my coworkers. Okay? Between December and January, I'll be paying $400 more.
Excuse me. President Trump has a solution, and he talked about it again today.
President Trump does have a solution. And I want to talk about President Trump's solution because I think that under a very specific set of circumstances, does the solution that President Trump is proposing make sense and may be worth doing? And I'm going to talk about it. So without further ado, go ahead and roll this clip.
Remember, Republicans, regardless of the Schumer shutdown, the Democrats will terminate the filibuster the first chance they get. They will pack the Supreme Court of the United States, pick up 2 states, that's a lot of states, and add at least 8 electoral votes. Their 2 objectors are gone. Remember, Sinema and Manchin, they're gone. Don't be weak. Don't be stupid, Republicans. Fight, fight, fight. Win, win, win. We will immediately end the extortionist shutdown, get all of our agenda passed, and make life so good for Americans that these deranged Democrat politicians will never again have the chance to destroy America. They tried to destroy your country. Republicans, you will rue the day that you didn't terminate the filibuster. Be tough, be smart, and win. This is much bigger than the shutdown. This is the survival of our country. Terminate the filibuster, and let's live the great life that this country is capable of living.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. A Democrat is going to...
What do y'all think about that? I totally disagree on that. I just think both sides should have an agreement. I don't think any one side should have all the power. Okay. But let's just see what's going to happen. Let's see what Carville is saying about this.
Be elected in 2028. You know that. I know that. The Democratic president is going to announce a special transition advisory committee on the reform of the Supreme Court.
What do you think about that? Do you think that will happen?
That's the president's warning on a filibuster. He's telling Republicans, do it now, change it now, because his warning is this is what Democrats are going to do, blow up the filibuster, change the number on the court, do the whole thing. There are a number of Democrat voices the last few years who have been saying this prominently. It's not just James Carville. We think about former Attorney General Eric Holder. A number of sitting lawmakers have said they want to change the makeup of the court. It's something I asked Justice Barrett about in a recent interview, and she said, listen, a lot of this stuff is set by the Constitution, but not all of it. But judges should be free to do their jobs without worrying about political interventions.
So if the president's saying Democrats are going to blow up the filibuster if they win back Congress anyway, so...
What do y'all think about that? Do y'all think they should get rid of the filibuster? It's a no for me. It's a no for me.
Republicans might as well do it now. Get the shutdown over with and use it while you can.
What do y'all think about
Exactly.
that?
But as Senate Majority Leader Don Thune said, the votes aren't there in my caucus. They all know what it's like to be on the minority and to only have that filibuster as your only tool, and they don't seem willing to give it up.
Yeah,
That
see,
should
I
be
agree.
your only.
Republicans are opposed to getting rid of filibuster. They're saying they don't have the votes. They're not going to do it under any set of circumstances. The president is saying you're going to regret doing that. You need to repeal the filibuster. He's talking about actually get rid of it altogether so that he can pass his agenda, which I understand where he's coming from. And I actually do believe that there is a very specific set of circumstances where repealing the filibuster in this current situation actually might make sense. Because generally speaking, I'm opposed to it because I know how useful it can be, right? When Democrats get back in power. Regardless, I do think that it would make sense to get rid of filibuster only if Republicans, President Trump, can prove that they can actually mobilize GOP voters, mobilize people on the ground against Democrats, and to make sure that we have enough support in the midterms in order to guarantee that Democrats do not take back power and control. That is the only way that it makes sense to get rid of filibuster. What do I mean? Right now, Democrats are winning the optics battle. And part of the reason why is because the media lies to people. The way they cover Democrats and Republicans is different. When you talk about the shutdown, they basically make it seem like it's the Republicans' fault, when it's actually Democrats' fault. Okay, so we're fighting an uphill battle, right? And that's the only reason why Democrats aren't really hurting as of right now. And I think the longer that this carries on, I think they will start to hurt, because I think it's obvious to anybody, again, with just a basic understanding of the situation, that Democrats are at fault. But my concern about overturning the filibuster comes from the fact that, historically speaking, when politicians make big moves like that, the backlash is so great in the next election that the party in power, or the party that made the changes happen, they get hurt, right? Like Democrats had.
Today. You are? Yes. Where's your hoodie?
Supermajority with Obamacare when they passed it in 2010. Because they passed.
What y'all think about
the backlash was so great, the Democrats got wiped out for 10 years, right? I mean, you could argue that Democrats got wiped out for 10 years because of Obamacare, just because they passed Obamacare. And the same thing happens to Republicans. When Republicans, or the Supreme Court, right, overturn Roe v. Wade, which again is because Republicans nominated conservative justice to the court, and they promised that they would do that. They've been working on it for decades. One of the biggest conservative victories, again, over the last few decades. That is the reason why there was no red wave during the midterms, because a bunch of Democrats and moderates got pissed off and they voted. And there was a red trickle, but no red wave. So usually when big changes like that happen, in the next election, the party responsible for those changes, they suffer. That is my biggest fear when it comes to repealing the filibuster, is that you're going to repeal the filibuster, and if people's lives don't materially get better because the economy doesn't get better, and I think that the economy will get better, but if Republicans repeal the filibuster, the backlash could be so great, depending on what they do after they repeal the filibuster, that it will be hard for them to overcome.
You want to borrow it?
Because I'm Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew? What y'all think about
midterms, because of how Democrats will use it against them, right? And
what do y'all think about that?
Again, we've already seen that voters are willing to show up in droves. There was high turnout because they hate Trump, right? They don't like Trump. So I think that if Republicans are actually going to move forward with repealing the filibuster, I doubt that they will. But I think what President Trump and the Republicans need to do in this situation is to turn the optics game against Democrats. Mobilize conservative voters against the Democrats in their shutdown. Get voters in Washington, D.C., hold rallies to open up the government and to pay the workers. Open up the government and pay the worker rallies. Hold rallies. Do the same thing Democrats do. Mobilize the voters. Get the voters out in the streets, mobilizing against Democrats. Prove that we can actually get voters to support what the GOP is doing. And if that doesn't make the Democrats fold, if Democrats go into Thanksgiving, and I think these rallies should be held right before Thanksgiving, if the shutdown is still going on, hold massive rallies to pressure Democrats to fold. And if they don't fold, then you hold massive rallies to repeal the filibuster. Prove to the American people that you can actually rally conservatives behind repealing the filibuster to open up the government and to pass President Trump's agenda. Because again, the risk of repealing the filibuster is that the backlash is going to be so great that you're going to get wiped out in midterms. However, if Republicans actually have the ability to rally voters behind something, to rally behind the agenda, say, hey, Democrats are obstructionists. They're just not willing to work with us at all. We want to pay the workers. We want to open up the government. We want to govern. Support us, right? If you can get people out in the street, mobilize them the same way the Democrats mobilize the voters with the No Kings riots, right? We make fun of the No King stuff, but let's be real. It works. It's effective for mobilizing people. If Democrats can get their boomer base out in the streets and to mobilize against Trump being a quote-unquote king, then President Trump and the Republicans got to mobilize voters to do the same damn thing. And that is the only circumstance that I think it actually makes sense to repeal the filibuster. Because if you can actually prove that we have the energy and that voters are actually going to vote, that Republicans are going to show up, and that conservatives are going to reward the Republicans for actually governing, for passing President Trump's agenda, because what typically happens is that when you do big things in politics, again, the backlash is greater than the reward, right? Democrats didn't show up to reward Obama for passing Obamacare. Republicans showed up to punish him, though, but Democrats didn't show up to reward him. Same thing, Roe v. Wade. Republicans were not rewarded for Roe v. Wade being overturned, but Democrats punished Republicans for Roe v. Wade being overturned. So Republicans, if you're going to repeal the filibuster, which again, generally speaking, I think is a bad idea.
Bad
But
idea.
if Democrats want to be so obstructionist that we have no choice.
I totally agree.
I believe that you should do it, but only if you can prove that you can mobilize voters, you can get that energy out in the streets that we can take into the midterms to make sure that we blow the Democrats out, that we destroy them in the midterms. And that after the filibuster is overturned, we're passing universal voter ID. We are restricting mail-in ballot. We're going to repeal Obamacare. Okay, we're going to replace it with a more free market-oriented system. We're getting rid of the special interests that are the reason why our healthcare costs continue to go up. Let's get some legislation going in order to lower the cost of living in this country, right? To make housing affordable in this country, to incentivize more production of housing. Let's actually get some legislation going, and let's get some energy behind it. Let's get some boots on the ground behind it. Let's get some rallies behind it. Then yeah, I say go for it. But if it's one of those things where it's just like, well, we're just going to get rid of it, but we don't have any energy, we have no guarantees that President Trump's agenda is actually going to get passed, that voters are going to rally behind this, and that we're going to show out like never before in order to protect our majority and to expand our majority in the midterm, then it's not worth it. Because I'm telling you, if Republicans repeal filibuster without the right energy, with no guarantees that President Trump's agenda will be passed, it is over. It's over. Okay?
All right, y'all could finish watching that. I love the Black conservative. I'm going to try to connect with him off of YouTube. So let me know what you think. I thought I had enough time so I could do Married at First Sight, but I do not, because my kids have Saturday programs. Lou Michael's STEM program. There's 2 more Saturdays to go, and then he'll be done. I love you. Comment below. I'm going to come back home, and I'm going to drop Lou Michael off and come back and do finish Married at First Sight, okay? Let me know what you think. I absolutely love you. Go over to the Black Conservative, watch some of his videos, leave him a donation, whatever, give him a super thanks. Let me know what you think about what he said. Mwah, talk to you later. Bye.